Welcome to Pax Europiana, the podcast about peace and prosperity and about NATO membership of Austria and of Serbia and of Bosnia and of Kosovo, and a clear no to Orban's visit today in Vienna. So because what is his plan? We have to understand the world according to Orban, Putin, Vucic, Dodik, and they would love nothing more than Austria forming a neutral bloc with them together. And luckily for them, Austria is a neutral country because of Stalin. And they know very well history, obviously, better than our guys. Sebastian Kurz, he never understood history. But Stalin had this neutral strategy. Yugoslavia included to Sweden and Finland. Now they lost two countries, Finland and Sweden. Now, of course, for them it's very interesting to have Hungary as the central hub of that neutral alliance, of the Central European neutral bloc. That is what they want. And nominally, actually, in reality, Hungary is today only nominally in NATO. They are still in NATO, and he will be smart enough not to officially leave because he likes to do this dancing in all blocks, this balancing act. But he is definitely talking with Karl Nehammer now to encourage him not to join NATO and also to protest against the sanctions, and trying inside the EU to have partners. And that's of course Austria, Hungary, and then later also Serbia. And that's why Serbia may not join the European Union, which is opposing America, which is opposing NATO, which is trying to make the life really difficult for Ukraine in all aspects, basically making it impossible for Ukraine to join NATO and the EU. That is the strategy, and it's very clear. They have Bosnia and Republika Srpska. I call to dissolve it so often because exactly of that reason. They have, of course, Serbia fully neutralized and actually a pro-Russian country. They have Hungary, which is inside the NATO but nominally neutral, and we have to cut all the European funding. I'm calling here for all European funding to Hungary must be cut. You know, let's create a crisis with him. Because also the structural funding, also the normal funding, not only the funding now for the recovery fund, everything must be cut and frozen. Because he is serving Putin and he is corrupt with EU money that must be investigated. Every single European money must be, from the 2010 when he got power, must be investigated. Yeah? And all his football stadiums and all his projects, everything must be investigated. And of course, there must be an investigation into the energy deals. We must make a European decision to end the nuclear power station in Pax, that's the place, only 300 kilometers from Vienna. And Mrs. Gewessler does nothing? I mean, that's Russian technology. That's really bad. There's nothing against nuclear power in Germany or France under European conditions. But Russian nuclear just 300 kilometers from Vienna? That's very bad. And we have to be very strict here, and we should investigate the funding of this deal. 13 billion euros. Obviously a lot of corruption going on. And also the whole Gazprom deals with Miller from 2014 when he signed it. He was falling in the back of Europe since 2014. Yeah. Okay, the Austrians did it as well, but at least now we are trying to get rid of the Russian gas and the Russian energy, and we are making some progress, yeah? But it's really important that we build a real strong Central European pro-NATO, pro-EU, pro-Euro alliance. And then Hungary as well to join the Euro. I'm calling since 5 years now for that, and now the Hungarian forint another 7% lost, yeah? And of course the people get poorer, and of course higher inflation and fiscal disaster, and we have to bail out the Hungarians very soon after Orban will be hopefully boosted out by the markets, yeah, and by the people who are hopefully making a revolution against this pro-Putin failed economics and his treasonable politics. Yeah. I would be so happy about a revolution in Hungary. Yeah. That is necessary against Orban, the new autocrat. But I'm not sure, he has probably every lever of the society under control. And his anti-Semitism, his protectionism, his anti-Americanism, in all aspects he is representing all the wrong things of Austria, of Europe, yeah? Of Hungary. Hungary is a good country, it's good people. They are not anti-Semites and anti-Americans and protectionists and anti-capitalists. Yeah? These are really nice and good and decent Europeans. But he is really making a shame out of that country, and he is making fools out of Europe. It's an absolute disaster. And Mr. Nehammer gives him after all this eclats, because he is also trying to provoke everybody with these extreme statements about gas, yeah, making bad jokes about German gas. Yeah, I mean, what kind of level of politicians is this? Yeah, and then he goes to Romania of all places to make a provocative speech. Yeah, and he is threatening European peace. Normally he should be arrested as an agent of Russia who is threatening the public order of Europe. Anyhow, all this will not happen, I understand that. But what is the plan? I want to explain it, because that's a real strategic danger. Is this neutral bloc of Austria, Hungary, Serbia, Bosnia. And he is threatening that evil poison as well to Macedonia. He tries to retake the power for Gruevski's people in Macedonia, and then he has another win. Because why? They see it in Austria, unfortunately, they don't see it like this. But it's so logically. The way is like this. We won Montenegro, we won Macedonia now in the last 3 years. And I was personally very active on that one. And now they want to take Macedonia back and neutralize it and turn it into a Hungary, nominally inside, but mentally outside. That's the plan. And they want to stop Bosnia from joining and Kosovo from joining. And obviously that's the strategy which obviously they are talking. Do you think they don't talk? Yeah. The Putin's, Vucic, Dodiks when they meet, yeah, and the Nehammars. And here, obviously, I have no superior insight. I don't know what they talked at the meeting now. But the logic is, I follow Orban now very closely. He has been very active at the beginning of the Kurz time. When Kurz was the prime minister, he went here. I think he had a 3-day special workshop for Kurz, just to brainwash him into the financial possibilities of working with Russia and against America. And it worked, yeah. He explained him all these things, yeah, if he needed any more explanation. But that was the moment, yeah. And now again, he is showing him what can be done, and he is trying to bring him into this neutral bloc. And nominally Austria will stay in Europe, obviously we will stay in Europe, you know, and also Hungary will stay in Europe. But mentally, then these prime ministers, they leave the European Union mentally. And they then started with their agents, of course, yeah, in the public affairs. They have already started to badmouth the sanctions, badmouth Ukraine, and repeating the Russian propaganda lines. Yeah. Too much sanctions, the sanctions hurt us more, yes, blah, 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 blah. And undermining all their, the European unity. Why? Because this is really hugely lucrative. Because in the American gas contracts or in the Qatari gas contracts, they can get some commissions maybe. They will get something as well, I'm sure. This is also corrupt. But the real corruption in the percentage of the whole volume is going on in the Russian energy contracts. This is huge money. This is huge money, and they make it directly in Switzerland, Orban and the others in all countries. This is the Russian way of doing business. If you don't believe me, it's okay, you don't believe me, but then read what the responsible guys made interviews in Ukraine about exactly how Medvedev, in the time when he was in power, he has offered exactly these deals. And the people were talking. You can read the Kiev Post, it's online information. All these things are well documented. And this is the way they do business. And we have to clean up the Austrian and the Central European politics from this Russian leverage. The Russians buying massively influence in Austria, in Hungary, in Serbia, in Germany, in all the gas consumption countries with the money we basically pay. It's not even their own money, because we pay for the gas and they put 1% into influence buying, and so we fund our own corruption. This is how it works. It's not even the Russians paying for it. We have to buy these things, and as long as we buy it, 1% goes into Putin's pocket, 1% goes into the recycling, into the corruption of our political system. So simple, so easy, so clear. And this is how it works. And I think the only way to clean up the mess is no single gas and energy, and no import from the tyrant Putin. We have to decouple completely from the Russian economy. No mining resources, no kind of minerals from Russia, no gas, no uranium, no coal, no oil, nothing. What comes from Russia must be blocked physically and legally. There must be a complete blockade of the Russian economy until they have stopped the war and they have left Ukraine completely. And then we can start again if it's necessary. But I hope that Russia will be actually, we should de-recognize Russia, just to make it very clear. I don't want to be misunderstood. Yeah? There will be no peaceful Russia afterwards. There will be either civil war or, what I think is much better, de-recognition, and we recognize new countries instead of the Russian Federation. We have done it, by the way, with the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. The Americans have done that. We have done it also with the Soviet Union. We have done it with Yugoslavia, and we should have done it, by the way, with Iraq and with Syria and with Afghanistan, Libya, because all these countries are colonial constructions, and they are held only together by imperial force of the center. And of course, Russia has a lot of imperial force, but in reality, by far not as much as we always thought, because the Ukrainians are keeping up the fight, and they can also win if we support them industrially and fiscally more. We don't even have to fight ourselves, yeah? Because anyhow, that's a questionable fighting capacity what we have in Austria. But fiscally and industrially, we must supply Ukraine as well, Austria, and that's why it's important that we are more united and that also Bosnia, Kosovo and Austria join NATO, that we also legally can supply and fund and support Ukraine much more, as much as it takes for victory. I think I was very clear. That's my call here. Austria join NATO, and I'm really very angry about this meeting with Mr. Orban here. That was the most unnecessary meeting ever in the history of Austrian diplomacy at this moment, and why to have it? Thanks a lot.